A wonderful, wonderful Sunday out there to everyone. Good evening and welcome to Marriage Keys. You're listening to us on 98.9 FM, Kaduna, Nigeria. Before we go into anything, we have to just wish Reverend Joe Adejo a happy, happy anniversary. Today, the man clocked 40 years in marriage. 40 years. Like a 40-year-old person is no longer, a kid. You can't call them a tata, the way we love to say. 40 years of loving one another, wading through the storm together. 40 years of dying to the flesh. Yeah, 40 years of doing so much. And here you are. We celebrate you. We celebrate with you. Happy wedding anniversary, Reverend Joe Adejo. And of course, to your lovely wife, whom I'm sure is listening, happy wedding anniversary to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Well, it is good that we have your marriage, Mr. Ogbaki's marriage, and of course, Pastor Dodo's marriage to look up to, I think, because that many times, people look for the bad examples, so that they get excuses for what they want to do. I was just saying that I would like for all three of you to quickly address the spirit of self-righteousness or self-importance. Many times a lot of us go into marriage, and at some point, for some people, it's even 6 months into the marriage. For some others, 1 year. For some, 2, 3, 4. It depends on when that you allow that for that spirit to come and hit. But many times, many of us look at our spouses and we say, oh, I could have done better than this man. I could have done better than this woman. Look at her. She has let herself go. She doesn't look good. Her educational qualification is not even up there. I have moved on and she's just static. There are those women who have looked at their husbands and said, oh my God, I could have done better. What was I thinking? It was my parents. No, it was because, I was just stupid. After all, look at Lagbaja that I dated. He almost married me. He's the accountant general of the country today. The other one lives in Spain as a diplomatic attaché with his family. And here I am stuck with this man who does not know how to do anything but complain about the situation in the country. And these feelings begin to simmer and cook and begin to create a very toxic atmosphere in the house, because suddenly you have allowed the devil to give you a false, I'm just going to quickly put that false sense of self-importance, like you are more than the dust that you are. I would like for you to speak to us quickly before we address some of the situations that we have today, because, more and more I just hear from people, oh my God, what am I even doing in this home? If I had married this person, I only married her because she got pregnant, and all of those things. So please, can I start with you, Pastor Dodo, or Reverend Mr. Ogbaki? Let's talk to it, because indeed many, many people suffer from this. It is a spirit that I think, if we're going to be honest, many people have encountered. And if you allow it, it does a lot of damage. There are those who have seen it coming and recognized it for what it is and said, look, like I heard in church today, Reverend Father George Atung said, in his homily, the title was, who is worthy? Like, who are you? Or who are we? We're just dust. And somehow we just create false, put ourselves up on some certain pedestal, especially when we're talking about ourselves and our spouses. And Yeah, Reverend.
Why can't we start from
Okay.
so that I will
You.
draw it?
Okay.
First Samuel chapter 2 verse 9 says, "For by strength no man shall prevail." And sometimes we say, "For no man shall prevail by the strength of the flesh." And then 1 Corinthians 10:12 will say, let him who stands take heed lest he falls." You know, the truth of the matter is that I have always insisted, and that is what it is, that marriage is not a human institution. Marriage is God's institution. Marriage is God's invention. Marriage is God's business. And so anybody who wants to do it well must always run to God. The manual in the device we buy in the carton or in the pack we buy will always say, read completely before operating this device. So even man, as it were, the creature of God, has a manual by which he can function fully. You know, but if we decide that we want to operate on our own terms, want to do this marriage on our own terms, we'll always crash. There's nobody who is perfect. No one is perfect. And I've heard the example people use about David, that David was a murderer, David was an adulterer, and all of took another man's wife and all of that. But you see, the difference always is that we will always return back to that same path. But David never did. And it is clear from his prayer in Psalm 51. You know, so fundamentally speaking, the tendency to become self-righteous, the tendency to become self-important in marriage is always there. But when you realize that, look, this whole thing is about God. This whole thing, I don't want to offend my wife because of God. I don't want to offend my husband because of God. That makes it, that gives you a very good starting point. But when you don't want to, I don't want to do this so that my husband will not catch me. I don't want to do this so that my wife will not catch me. It's an imperfect foundation. You know, the beginning must be God. The Bible tells us in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, in the beginning, God. John's Gospel chapter 1, in the beginning was the Word, and that Word is God. So in the beginning, God. So God must be the motivation, God must be the driving force. Outside God, man will destroy himself. Man is only but a monster. Yeah.
Man is nothing but a monster. Who are we? You know, many, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you that while someone was talking to me, he said, I mean, if you even look at this woman, I brought her out of, trash. The family living in face me, I face you when I married her. And I had my hands on my cheek and I was just watching, and, it was just going on and on. And this is a woman that you call your wife. And you still allow for the devil to push such thoughts into your head. I mean, who even put her through school? I put her through school to where she is right now. I must tell you that even I am ashamed, sometimes to let her be seen with me in places where, because her English is still not well, it's still not polished. Who English help? Pastor Dodo, who did English help? And flat tummy,
Oh, yeah.
her stomach is wrinkled.
Sometimes these things happen because of problems in the home. When there are issues that have not been resolved in the home, that is when you will sit down and say, oh, I wish I didn't marry this man. Oh, I wish I married the other man. And then sometimes when there are problems, when there's lack, or when we enter into various temptations that the devil brings our way, that is when we go back. We are like the children of Israel that were on their way to Egypt, and they said no to the promised land, and they left Egypt. They say, oh, just the things that they were yearning for: garlic, leeks, cucumbers, and onions. So, and then why? Because they had certain problems that were facing them. And instead of them to actually trash those problems, they started thinking of what they used to have, you know. And most of the times we're like that. When you start thinking of what you should have had, I'll ask, just take a look at yourself. Where are you? Before you start saying, I wish I married the other person. If the other person sees you today, will he wish that he married you? Are you doing so well yourself that you are wishing, you know, that you married somebody that you think is better than your husband? Just find out what the other person's wife is going through as well. It's like we're always thinking that the grass is always green on the other side, and we keep on thinking about that. I had a case like that. The woman would tell the guy, I wish I married this man. And then one day, somebody that knew him now came and said, thank God you didn't marry him, because his wife now, she has everything. But he beats her to stupor, you know. He beats her, he abuses her. And that was when she said to her, where I am is even better. The grass is not always green on the other side. Let's be contented with what God has given us. If we have a problem, let's trash the problem and move on. But once the problem is still hanging, that's when all wishes come. Oh, I wish. Oh, I wish. No. Let's work on our marriages to make sure that at least we don't feel we are better than the other person. Oh, my family is better. I brought her out from trash. So what? If you want your wife's English to be polished, please take her to where they will teach her English, and she'll be okay. If you want your wife, you know, to dress well, you know, buy clothes for her. She will dress well. But when you are saying, this person, I wish I married this person because she had flat stomach, go and check now whether her stomach is flat. After 2-3 children, most women don't have that flat stomach anymore, you know. So let's be contented with what we have.
Reverend.
Yeah. You see, self-importance is the bad way to go, because it is practically a life of pride. The second one is narcissism, as we call it. Self-love is another evil that has raised its head in homes. Now, in trying to explain the essence of marriage itself, if a man or a woman begins to claim, if I had married another person, I would have been this, or if I, then the man is saying the same thing, it means they have not been focused, both of them have not been focused on the marriage institution. Because when you come together as wife and husband, you are one flesh. And when you look into the book of Ephesians, it says, both of you are equal, but the man is the head. And the man that is the head, everything is in his hand to place value upon himself. And when he places value upon himself, he's placing value upon the wife. So if you have married a wife 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and then you have not affected her one way or the other to bring her to the point that you desire yourself, then you are not doing anything. So standing out and saying, I am no more important. You know what he's saying? He's saying that he himself is not important. You get me? That is what he's saying. You must place value upon your wife, exactly as you place value upon yourself, because both of you have become one. And that is what the scripture says spiritually, and it must be seen to be demonstrated in the physical. Now, how can you be ashamed of your wife because of physiological changes? No, it is not. What about you? To be candid, if not, the fault is not even in anybody's hand. It's in the hand of the man or the woman. Now, if there are certain food my wife will tell me, look, I'm not giving you, because if I eat, it will give me a wrong shape that she doesn't want. And there are certain things she will do. I will say, look, baby, don't try it. And all of us will agree And today, a lot of comments I've been hearing today or say, look, that guy is too young to be 40 years in marriage because the way I'm seeing him, look at the stomach is still flat. That is it. Take care of yourself. Take care of your wife. Let both of you grow together and enjoy your life, because marriage is to be enjoyed. You get me? Now, why should there be underlining offenses? To be candid, why those things do happen is because of offense. And the deeper the offense, the lighter the love. And the moment love go deeper, offenses become light. And that is the way to go. And then you are a happy person. You grow younger instead of growing old. You do away with wrinkles instead of all those things that will not make you to sleep. Look, marriage is fantastically sweet.
From the man who is clocking 40 years in marriage today, marriage is fantastically sweet. I'm sure that is not to say you haven't had your fair share of challenges.
My first year.
You always go back to that.
My first year. I think if you go into the book of 1 Corinthians chapter, is it 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians chapter 1, when you read from 4 down, Paul was talking about the problems he went through, and that was allowed so that he can use that to comfort those who go through the same thing. I think that is my case. You get me, Ko?
Yeah.
That is my case, because after that first 1 year, it has been a different story.
Well,
Maybe a lot of people want to hear the first year. If you want to hear the first year, wait until 26th of February. Something is going to happen.
Okay.
Because in 2 days' time, I will be 72.
Okay, so we're going to have it's a double celebration.
It's a double celebration.
A case of double celebration.
Yes.
We really do. We're really happy, and we celebrate you and celebrate with you, Reverend. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for weighing in on that, because, like I said, quite a number of people who are facing situations in their homes where they have been made to feel lesser than what they really are. Before I delve into what I would like for us to talk about today, I would like to quickly acknowledge Don Terry, who is wishing a happy anniversary to you, Reverend Sunday Ashafa. We appreciate your words. Happy Osamede. Thank you. Wishing you a happy anniversary too. Victor Adiba says to his father in the Lord, happy anniversary. Ugu Chris Odo says he loves this program. Thank you so much. Wishing you a happy anniversary too. Rose Ray. She says God Almighty is the institutor of marriage. May he bless all homes in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. And Vincent Ode says happy anniversary to you too.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so far. Okay, we have Tochi Ogbonna. I just know there's a lot of messages coming in. Tochi says, she says, this is a good topic. The fear of God helps very well in marriage. Nobody is perfect, but we should be sincere in our marriage. Thank you so much. Esther Bassi, she's also wishing a happy anniversary. Maureen Yashim, thank you. Wishington George Ayuba, so many messages. Thank you so much for your love, the outpouring of it. And you've all spoken well, but what about the place of infidelity in all of this? When a lot of us seem to think that infidelity is when you'd commit the act itself. You're kissing another person, you're touching another person romantically. As a matter of fact, many people have moved on from touching. They believe the touching is not as sinful as actually going to having congress with another person, or kissing another person. So I'd just like for you to quickly talk about that too, the place of infidelity in all of this, and how do we define infidelity? Because a lot of people are being unfaithful without really understanding that what they're doing at this point is unfaithfulness.
Yeah, do I start? Okay.
Yes, please go.
Yeah, infidelity is the quality of not being trustworthy. That is, you deviate from what you are supposed to be loyal to. Now, like a man is married, he has a wife, and he leaves the wife and is taking care of another person. That is infidelity. You have 10,000 naira in your hand. You distributed all those amounts outside and you left out your wife. That is infidelity. You get me? Now, you have never said to your wife, honey, I love you. But you kept saying to another woman, I love you. You have never said to your wife, you are beautiful. But you kept on admiring. You know what you are doing in essence? Infidelity is building up more and more. And one day, what remains for you to do is what we call oxytocin does. Oxytocin is that hormone that triggers congress. It triggers congress, and it makes you to feel like touching, feel like kissing, and the moment you begin to go into that to kiss, you will be discharging about 80 million bacteria. You will be transferring it to that person. You see, that's why when you meet another woman, a lot of things take place. But a lot of people don't know this. A lot of things take place. You become one with that person. So infidelity is leaving your wife out in this context for another person. And when you do that in all its ramification, it is wrong. And the home can never, in fact, it is a road to divorce. In all things you do, the one that divorce was appropriately recommended for is infidelity. And I pray that men shouldn't go into the temptation. To be candid, if I am with my wife and I have opportunity to even admire the beauty of another woman, I check myself. You get me? Not that admiring the person is wrong, but you must be careful so that you don't offend. You don't know what can offend somebody. That is why I tell you, no marriage is perfect. A man of 40 years is telling you, no marriage is perfect. It's a continuous process. You know, what you do now that you know is wrong, because new things are springing up every day.
Yeah.
And as they spring up, you correct it and you keep going. You navigate through all odds. That is it. But infidelity is not the way to go.
Which is why, remembering the situation I wanted to bring before you, that's why I quickly injected this matter of what about the place of infidelity as regards, the way we see ourselves sometimes, when we compare ourselves to our spouses. Now, there's someone who reached out to me, and over time she's been made to feel worthless because the husband actually takes advice, he doesn't know, according to her, he doesn't know that she knows. But there are things that he has bought in the house that was bought by his worker in the office. And it's not just any worker in the office that he sends. He has sent, this particular lady to go and buy food items, to go and buy, it's not that this woman doesn't go to the market. Let me be very clear. But there are times when he has sent this woman, this outsider, to go and shop for the home. And she says that even when it comes to advice, she has heard, time and again, where this man is discussing business dealings, like, okay, so what should we do? Do we okay, I'm just pulling this out of the air on my own. Do we extend, for instance, credit to this person who has come to the shop to buy? or to the office? Do we do this business? Do we take this whatever? Anyway, bottom line is, even business decisions, this lady's contribution weighs more than hers. She says that several times she has tried to even inject and say, okay, why don't you do, this? Why don't you inject this into the business? And he's like,
the man wouldn't hear.
It's
it.
So, is this infidelity or not? And let's speak to this her situation, and I know she's listening. Let's speak to her, because I said in my mind, of course I didn't tell her this, she's just hearing this probably for the first time, it's infidelity. If I'm wrong, let me be corrected, but that's why I said, what about the role of infidelity, and even when we don't know that we're being unfaithful? Mr. Ogbaki.
So infidelity begins when and one key word I would like to use is exclusivity. Yeah, in marriage there are things that belong to the couple, so you can't share them out at all. So when you begin to send text messages, or when you begin to chat, or when you begin to make calls that you do not want the other spouse to hear or see, that is infidelity. It is the same thing with when you have congress with the person. So a lot of people could...
Please say that again. Because...
could judge me to say that that's bullshit. Yeah, because that's what society tells us. When you begin to chat, send text messages, or have conversations that you do not want your spouse to hear or get to see, it is as grievous a matter as congress itself, or let me just say sexual infidelity or cheating on your wife. In that sense, is the same.
Or cheating on your husband.
On your husband or your wife. It's same par. So that is where it begins from. These things don't start from... You don't just meet in the air and then have congress with somebody you do not know. It starts from somewhere, and it's a very gradual process. So once you begin from there and you call yourself to order, then you know that you know where you were going through, and then you try to retrace your steps back. So these things are exclusive to the couple. To tell somebody I love you, or to call somebody pet names, or to send messages or compliments and all of that, that depicts something deeper. Women get to hear all of these kind of things in offices where they work. They usually don't tell their husbands. A lot of times, a lot of these things happen. Just sorry to put this story here. It was a movie of Ukwa. Ukwa's wife told him that this Baba Emeka told her that she looks beautiful today. Then he didn't say anything. He said, won't you say anything? Won't you react? He told her that you're a very stupid woman. That since I married you, are you telling me that this is the only man who has complimented you? This is the only man who complimented you that you don't like. That's why you are telling me today. The ones that you like all these years, you didn't tell me. Okay. So these things happen. These things happen. And the moment you begin to talk about them, that's why it's important to talk about all of these things with your spouses. The one who complimented you and complimented you in a way that you don't like, whether for the man or for the woman, you should talk about these things. I mean, marriage is, in fact, the first question is, when we begin to talk about infidelity, what causes it? Mm-hmm. It's emotional disconnection. Literally, that's what it is. It's emotional disconnection. This man and his wife are not connected emotionally. That is why he can trust the lady in the office to go to the grocery store to buy stuff for the house, or to take her decisions or her advices more than that of his wife. There's no connection. And then after a long while, he's going to leave the house. And these are the kind of things we see. So when all these things happen, this is suddenly he left the house, or she. It's never sudden. It has taken a while, and these things were there. So for women, you are seeing it gradually. You are not taking caution. You are married. You don't take care of yourself any longer in the house. And then he goes to the office. He doesn't see this lady in the office tying wrapper on her chest. He doesn't see her looking unkempt. He sees her looking very good. he leaves the house seeing you looking very unkempt, and then he comes back home. In fact, a young man said he doesn't like this idea of coming back home to meet his mother. While they were growing up, all that the mother does is, have you eaten? Are you okay? And then he comes back home from work. Instead of seeing a very loving wife that he married, she's saying, are you hungry? Are you okay? Take food, eat. And then that's it. And then he eats the food, and she still... Then he said he will stay in the parlor hoping that he will get some attention from her, but she's with the children. And then he'll go...
So, but whose fault, Mr. Obaki?
No, this I'm just reporting.
Okay.
Somebody else. He's just saying his mind.
I was looking at you already.
Yeah, he was just saying his mind. He goes to the room, and she won't join him. She's still with the kids and all of that. But what I'm saying here is, let us watch those lines of emotional disconnections in our marriages. Let us watch them. These things don't suddenly happen. This man doesn't suddenly start sleeping with this girl, or suddenly starts... You see, all men are cheats and all of that. Women are becoming even doubly worse, or doubly in the act. They are becoming very courageous in the act now. All sort of things. So let us watch them. Let us watch those things we do to our wives. Let us watch those things we do to our husbands. Let us watch those little, seemingly insignificant things in the marriage.
So, but in this situation, Mr. Obaki, what does she do? Because she says that, the husband, not on that one particular occasion, but she believes he just doesn't think she has the IQ to carry, those kind of decisions. I mean, to make good decisions, business decisions. And she says he doesn't even know she knows that much about the extent to which this lady has been involved. But like, even sometimes some of those business decisions, they're talking on the phone, he doesn't hide it. Like she says that, they talk about it. She sees him having conversations, albeit not intimate conversations, but, conversations that would not be untoward to have with your wife. She sees him having it on the phone with this lady. This lady is suggesting, okay, Oga, or do we do this? And he's saying, okay, that's an idea. And she's just there. And then whenever she chips in, he's like, no, you won't understand. And things like that. And she says he has made her feel like because she did not go beyond a certain point, her ideas don't matter. So in this particular situation, what does she do, Mr. Obaki?
Invest in yourself. We've talked about it here.
What if she cannot? With her own money?
No, she can't.
And the husband is not willing to send her to school. School is not the cheapest thing to go.
Just with this, I'm raising it so that on Facebook, those who are watching will see. Just with your phone, you can do 1,000,001 things. Just with your phone. On YouTube, on their EDX courses, their free courses. There are a lot of things that are things she's going to start studying online, free courses. And then when she suggests that to her husband, the husband will say, where did you get this from? On her own.
So, Mr. Obaki, the question I want to ask is, in between two people who claim that they love themselves and will continue to love themselves unconditionally, should it be a certificate that would determine whether or not, even if this woman is selling akara?
He didn't marry her because he wanted her to contribute. True. Look, truly speaking, I heard a man of God said out of bitterness that marriages today are all scam.
A man of God?
Yes. Well, he said that out of bitterness. I could see the bitterness. How girls cheat young men, how young men cheat girls into marriage. And because he's confronted with all this kind of story, you see these realities, and you begin to ask, didn't you see these signs? You're asking how, or you're asking him. So there are people who don't go into marriage because they want emotions or they want advice from their wives. They want a woman who will bear children. You hear some men say, I want to marry a teacher so that she can take care of my children. That's all. I want to marry a nurse so that she can have first aid and all of that. That's all. So he's not, he knows why he married her. You understand? And that is why I will always insist that this thing, it takes two. Completely, in every sense of it, in business, in health, in matters of environment, matters of business, every aspect of life, marriage permeates all of it. And so once you don't get it right, and that is why, you see, the truth of the matter is that today in churches, we don't talk about the nitty-gritty of these things. We don't talk about these things in depth in churches today. Just few churches where you don't even find members. Because when you hit their egos, they will leave your church for you. Yes. So when we talk about these things in church, especially for, there's no need to call any church. We know the churches who are talking about these issues know themselves. We go to church and we are talking casually about things that don't matter, things that have no bearing to the practical lives of people, and yet daily people come to your office to tell you these are the situations. You can't address these things on Sunday. So these are the issues we have. He didn't marry her because he wanted advice. That is it, purely. He has shown it over the years. So I will advise her, if she's listening, to invest in herself. Go take your phone, get data, watch YouTube videos on business strategies, business ideas, business operations. Watch things that will make you become better. Give yourself 3 months, 6 months, and you start churning ideas that your husband will be asking you.
Okay, so this woman has a business, Mr. Ogbaki. Maybe exactly. I didn't say that. Right. She has her own business.
Right.
She is concerned about the
involvement with the husband, with that lady.
Chemistry. It's not. He doesn't respect her.
It has gone beyond this. This thing is not business. This thing, I'm just calling this thing. I hate to use that word. It's not business. This thing, he's intertwined already with this lady. He's really, really emotionally connected to this lady, and there's a certain level of disconnection between the wife. So she needs to watch that line. She needs to begin to do something along that path. And then,
so that's why I'm asking Mr. Ogbaki, what should she do? Because for me, I don't. Of course, you said improve, but she's got her own money, in the sense of it might not be much, but she's got her own money. She's got business that she's handling well enough. But she's talking about being given that recognition.
What if somebody comes here? What if somebody comes to the GM or in the board meeting here in Victor and gives you a turnaround idea, $1 million idea here? It's the same kind of idea Joseph gave Pharaoh. He said, get a man who will, in the 7 years of plenty, will save and save and save. And Pharaoh said, there's nobody. You are the one. Once you get to that point where you have that kind of wisdom from God, and then you have invested in yourself, you've developed yourself to a certain level, he's going to hear you. He's going to get connected back to you on that business level. You understand? He's feeling that she doesn't have the IQ of this business stuff he's doing. She needs to build herself to that point.
So should she just stop trying
the
to
man must be
inject
making mistake. The man must be making mistake that not getting her involved.
See,
then I will say something.
It's not a matter of like what Ogbaki is trying to say. Her husband doesn't seem to see her worth.
She knows that. What is she supposed to do now?
She's not supposed to
stop pushing.
She's not supposed to
herself into his conversation.
That's what Ogbaki is saying. Maybe one day when they are saying something, this thing that you are saying happens to a lot of marriages, where the husband feels she doesn't understand my own business, and the woman is there. She will give him an advice, and he will not take it. But when he goes outside, a friend will give him the same idea, and he comes, see what my friend said. And she'll say, but that is what I told you. It's just because most men don't really think that their wives should understand business. My friend has that problem. She's an accountant. She's working in a firm. And the husband has his own business. But he feels that she does not understand, the nitty-gritty of his business. So he want to bring consultants. One day she sat him down and said, look, this thing that you are wasting money on, I can solve this problem for you. He didn't hear her, brought somebody. And that's what Ogbaki is saying. She went on her own and did a little proposal, solving the problems for him, and she kept it. When the other guy came to the office, did what he could do, she now carried her own proposal and gave it to him. I said, this is what I think you should do about this. By the time he read her own and read this man's own that he brought gave plenty of money to,
yes,
he discovered that his wife's own was better. So she has to build capacity, and let the husband know. I think most men, for instance, I read business admin, my husband read accounting. And sometimes when we are talking, and I lecture, sometimes when we are talking, he's teaching me what I'm teaching students in the class. You understand? It's that thing about being the head. And I'm trying to tell him, I know this thing. And it's like, he didn't want it. He didn't understand. So I just keep quiet so that he keeps on teaching me, so that peace will prevail. But then he understands that, okay, when he needs to take a decision, well, what should we do about this? He asks me for my opinion, and I tell him, okay, this is what we should do, this is what we should do. And when he goes out and he comes back, he said, well, I asked somebody and they give me the same, advice. So she has to prove herself. She won't keep quiet. She listens to their conversation, isn't it? If the lady is giving him a wrong counsel, what she does is she knows how to write. Sit down. Okay, my husband. We even have voice notes on phone.
I don't think the lady gives wrong counsel. If she was giving wrong counsel.
That is what I'm saying now. She should sit down, use the voice notes. Sweetheart, I heard you discussing this. This is what I think. This is what I think. This is what... He won't stop her now because she's using her phone.
Yes.
And send it to him.
Yes.
When he listens to it, he'll say, oh, my wife, he might... Initially, he might not take it as anything serious. But the next time again she hears, she should say, okay, use voice notes because it's not going to stop you. Use the voice notes again. Sweetheart, this thing that I heard you discussing about, this is what I feel. This is my opinion. This is. By the time she keeps on doing that, I'm telling you, he's going to listen to her.
Okay. All right. I'm sure she's listening to us. Reverend, you wanted to quickly say something, even though there's something...
You know why I'm having interest?
Yes, I want us to...
It is this particular type of scenario you are painting now is part of the book I'm about to bring out. You see, most of the time, men don't place value upon their wives. They don't place value. Maybe because they are seeing all the time, they are... but I have come to understand that women are as intelligent, if not more, in some occasions than their husbands.
In most subjects in the high institutions, they are the ones that top the
class. First to 10, they are women. First to 10, okay? So,
and this is what you see, Pastor Dodo, as a lecturer.
Even now, we just wrote an exam. In my course, the first 5 positions in my course is women.
So this is true. Women are look at Manoah. God had just visited them, and immediately the angels was taken by the wild wind, or what I call it, in the burnt offering smoke. Then Manoah said, "Oh, we are going to die. We are going to die." That, you know what happened? This man was being tormented by fear. And you know what fear can do within the body system. Then the wife said, now, if you listen to the voice that came to us, the voice said, I was going to be pregnant and deliver a baby. No razor should touch the baby's head. We should not give the baby alcohol and all that thing. And that he wants us to do this and then watch over the baby grow. He said, if God is going to kill us, how will this one come to pass? And the man said, oh, thank you. You can see, that is mental ability that God has given to women. So if you I ended that topic on that chapter. I said, look, encourage your wife, give your wife opportunity to build your company that you are building too, and you will be great, both of you.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen women who don't know a thing about some stuff, just say something so deep about a matter. I've seen that, and I think women should be given a chance, especially in the home front. Even if she's selling akara, like I said, there's so much within her. Like my mom loved to say, may her soul rest in peace. She said, time and chance happens to everyone. I mean, another one she loved so much was, but for the grace of God, there go I. I mean, have you ever thought that if you hadn't had the opportunity to go to school or even, interact with some certain people, you'd be even worse than some of the people that we look down on derisively.
What is the degree that Bill Gates has?
So even if she hasn't built capacity, in quote, like she hasn't gone for those courses and all of that, I mean, absolutely love the idea that I myself have made use of that, even though, you know, someone who's been to school and all of that, there are quite a number of free courses online that I feel a lot of women and even men can take advantage of. But no matter where she is at, she's your wife, he's your husband. Sit and take these decisions together. I mean, seek each other's opinion. Now, quickly, we've run out of time, but I must touch this because she's also listening. Now, a couple who had issues, they went separate for just about a year, and now, to the glory of God, they're back. But she says that the husband has been, you know, questioning her on what happened in that space of time. And she told me that, look, the truth is I slept with, you know, someone, just one person. Doesn't matter whether it's one, what she said, one person. She slept with this person, but she doesn't feel for a marriage where they're just, you know, beginning to find their feet back again as a couple, that she should open up and tell this man. And she's saying that she doesn't know that in the spirit of starting well, so that there are no cracks through which, you know, little foxes can come and bite, or a serpent crawl in and bite. Is this, you know, the husband keeps asking her, especially, you know, when they're in the bedroom and all of that, she said she would just say, so you mean this whole year, nothing happened between yourself and any other man? And she says nothing. But in her heart, she's burdened because she feels she should let him know. But she's afraid too, because these are people who were separated. You know, for 1 year, she was in Kaduna, he was in Abuja. And somehow, you know, he's been posted back to Kaduna now. And things are good. They're back in the house together as husband and wife. They have children. So she's saying she doesn't want to tell him. And honestly, Pastor Dodo, at this point as a woman, I honestly told her, I don't think you should tell him. But she's listening because I think because we're friends, my own idea is not as, you know, she wants to hear from the three of you. Yeah. So go ahead. Pastor Dodo, let me start with you. You're a woman.
No, you know, I was thinking that the men will go first because why is the man asking her? You know, all that. And if she tells him, what is likely to happen? Because they are men. So I think truly, I think they should then, I'll be able to tell
we
her.
don't have much time.
Just
quickly say something, please.
Let me say something quickly. You know, that the man, let me start with the man. That the man left the wife he married for a whole year, instead of making arrangement to go with her. That alone is already a sin on the part of the man.
Sorry, Reverend, you said what?
Okay. I will repeat it again.
Okay.
That the man, like, I married a wife now and I leave her. Do you know what? When I joined Peugeot Automobile Nigeria Limited, they gave me visa immediately after my wedding to go to France and spend 1 year. And I said, I want to go with my wife. They said no. I said, I can't go to France. And you can imagine the allowance I'll be getting each day for 1 year. I rejected it. If you marry a wife and you leave your wife for 1 year, you have committed sin. To be candid, if I don't have the exact place, but it's in the Bible, it says if you have married, get leave for 1 year.
Yeah, immediately. Bro.
Get leave for 1 year to stay with your wife. And your own,
it's
you
in
married.
the Bible.
Yeah.
And your own, you married and you left her for 1 year and you come back and you are asking her on a question that is void of wisdom. Do you know what? Let me tell the woman straight away. Don't tell him that you have slept with one man. Although sleeping with one man to a man is more than sleeping with 10 men.
Right.
And if you tell him your marriage is over, there can be no unity again. There can be no coming together or that passion is gone forever. So don't tell. 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse.
We've run out of time, Reverend. I don't know if the other people might want to say something.
Okay, yeah, let me
Okay.
cut it short.
Okay.
5 and 6. Even when you are at home with your wife, he said, and you want to organize prayer and fasting, the Bible says, don't make it long, so that any of you be not tempted. You get what I'm saying? And then you are living for 1 year, and you are coming and asking her on the same bed in the night, so that he will tell you whether he slept with somebody. What about you, man? Did you sleep with anybody?
That's what I wanted to say. I wanted him to start it first. This 1 year, how many women did he have?
Has he gone through?
Where exactly? Then let him say his own. Then she too, she can say her own. It's do me, I do you. The truth of the matter.
He actually did.
So
He
yeah,
told her
because
he slept with many women
Not many
because,
women. He actually opened up
and said he slept with.
that he had affairs.
If you
had
tell
a
if
fear.
you
In
know
Abuja,
that,
in
he
Abuja.
he should pray with the man and stop there. Don't say your own.
Honestly, it's not funny, but honestly, very dicey
What is in
situation.
the past is in the past. I
It's
mean,
in
this
the
is
past.
1
That is
year.
it.
This is
One-
1 year.
1 year you
1 year
left
gone
her.
by. You
are going to
abandoned
the
her,
back
and then you are still going back to that.
to
No, no.
recall
I mean,
whatever that is wrong.
let's just move forward. The truth of the matter is that even if she didn't sleep with anybody, even if she didn't sleep, the likelihood is that she would have been attracted to a couple of men.
Yes.
The likelihood is there because the man who was supposed to give her cover was not
Was
there.
not there.
Yes.
And the Bible says that if you look at somebody lustfully, you've committed adultery.
True.
So he should just leave this woman alone. She tried.
Okay.
And the man may not be listening. No, it's the woman.
No, she's the one
So
listening.
keep your secret to yourself and ask God to forgive you. Don't try it again, oh, because it will be dangerous. And I'm telling you right from here. Don't
Okay.
tell him. If you tell him, that is the end of the excitement that you will find in that marriage.
And I'd like to quickly acknowledge Master Sami Ada Eche. He's wishing Reverend a happy anniversary to Mubarak Jibril Malam Himma. Thank you so much. Your words mean a lot. Achigoni Akaikus. He says happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And
All of you.
he says infidelity is unfaithfulness in a marriage or an intimate relationship, practice or instance of having a sexual. Okay, he was trying to define, or he has defined infidelity. Thank you so much, Achi. And then Achuri Eliaza, he says happy 40th marriage anniversary. And then he's greeting personally Pastor Dodo and Mr. Ogbaki. He says, tell Mr. Ogbaki that I admire his analytical prowess. He's unbiased, biblical, and philosophical in his worldview. All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Achuri Eliaza. And then Salvation Omede, he says, well, words of encouragement. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Esther Gabriel, thank you so much. And Grace Olaniyi, we appreciate your words of greetings, wedding anniversary, yeah, and amen. Wishing you more glorious years ahead, Reverend. Emmanuel D. Don, good evening, and may God continue to help us all. AY Pius, or is that AY Plus? He says, you're watching from Ayebode Ekiti. Wow. All right. From Ekiti. Stay safe in Ekiti there.
So am I watching from London even?
Yes.
They are not passing comments.
They're not passing comments. Well, thank you so much. We're glad that we're reaching all these homes out there. Indeed, may every home that is listening be blessed this evening. And may all these things that we talk about trigger us, push us to want to do better by our spouses, knowing that we ourselves are dust, nothing but dust. But for the grace of God, anything, we could have been, that person that you look down on so much. And so let's go out into this week knowing that it is just the grace of God that has kept us and continues to keep us where we're at as we continue to push forward. Many thanks to Reverend, who will be clocking 72 very soon, 40 years in marriage.
Yeah,
Many
70.
thanks. 70, yes,
Yeah,
I did
70.
say that.
Yeah.
And to Mr. Ogbaki, thank you so much for your analytical prowess and philosophical prowess. And Pastor Dodo, great to have you here. Thank you so much for all that you give to us, even from, your personal experience and all of that. We appreciate all three of you. May God continue to bless you for this work that you do.
Amen.
Until next week, you know how we say it here, sweet marriage, very, very possible to have.
So fun.
Fan that love. Carry the biggest fan you can find, philosophically and every other way, and fan. Just keep fanning. Those flames will come. Don't give up. Have a victorious week.
Here we go.
Now there is more than one way you can stay connected with 98.9 Invicta FM.
Oh, yeah.
Hit us up on www.invictafmng.com.
On Facebook, it's www.facebook.com/Invicta FM 98.9. Follow us on Twitter at Invicta FM.